Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Tennis Hall of Fame here at historic Newport Casino. This weekend, we honor an incredible achievements of our 2006 enshrinement class. In 1881, the Newport Casino hosted the first United States National Tennis Championships, now known as the U.S. Open. In 1954, through the hard work of Candy and Jimmy Van Allen, the USTA sanctioned this beautiful place as the National Lawn Tennis Hall of Fame. Starting in 1977, individuals from the worldwide tennis community became eligible for induction in the International Tennis Hall of Fame. On this hallowed ground, we will honor 10 very talented individuals who exemplify the greatest traditions of our sport: athleticism, sportsmanship, passion, and perseverance. Their accomplishments, both on and off the tennis courts, are the reason why we are honoring them here today. There are some very special guests seated here on the Bill Talbert Stadium court who have come from near and far to help us salute our 2006 induction class. It is my pleasure to introduce them. First, families and friends. They have seen them at their best and at their worst. They've supported, encouraged, and loved them no matter what. They have come here today to be a part of this special celebration. And I would first like to ask the families of our inductees to please stand and be recognized. Thank you for being here. Now seated to my left are a group of individuals who through their tireless, I should go back a step, I beg your pardon. We now ask the friends of our inductees to please rise and be recognized. The friends, please stand. Thank you also for being here with us today. Seated on my left are a group of individuals who, through their tireless dedication and leadership, have helped the International Tennis Hall of Fame grow into the marvelous institution that it is today. Their commitment to the preservation of the sport of tennis, both past and present, is unparalleled. We have grown and flourished through the years because of their support and guidance. To say thank you to these individuals is an understatement. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing the Executive Committee of the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for all you do for us. Seated directly behind me is our official party. We are very privileged to have with us today Dennis Richardson, the Ambassador of Australia. The next gentleman I'd like to recognize is the chairman of the International Tennis Hall of Fame, Mr. Wick Simmons. Wick. We're also happy to have some Hall of Famers with us today. 1971 inductee Vic Satius. '87 Hall of Famer Stan Smith. 2005 inductee Butch Buchholz. '90 Hall of Famer Jan Kodish. Inducted in 2002, Pam Shriver. In 1994 inductee, the very colorful Bud Collins. And finally, our 2004 Hall of Famer, Steffi Graf. For over 50 years, the International Tennis Hall of Fame has preserved the history of our great sport, and continues to honor the legacies of the individuals who embody its traditions. Today, we are posthumously inducting 7 extraordinary master players who helped shape the history of this wonderful sport. The playing careers of these great tennis greats ranged from the late 1800s through the early 1950s, with the majority of their careers ending prior to World War II. First, I'd like to recognize and honor Australian Nancy Wynne Bolton. Nancy has a remarkable distinction of capturing 20 Australian championship titles. She was ranked in the world top 10 4 times. Next master player honoree is Marion Jones Farquhar. Marion was the first American woman to compete at Wimbledon and at the Olympics in 1900. She also won 4 U.S. championship titles and was a finalist twice. Next, we honor Britain's Arthur Gore, who holds the record for the most Wimbledon tournaments played, winning 3 times. His Wimbledon tennis playing career spanned from 1888 through 1922, and he still holds the record for the oldest male champion. We'd also like to honor Karl Kozulu, a Czechoslovakian pro champion who reigned as the French champion from 1925 to 1930, and again in 1932. Our next inductee is Wimbledon champion Herbert Lawford, who was the first person to introduce topspin into our sport. And we also have France's finest female champion, Simone Mathieu. Aside from 2 French championship singles titles, she also holds 11 major doubles titles. She was ranked in the world top 10 for 11 straight years. And our final master player honoree is Hans Nusslein of Germany, who captured 4 World Pro Championship titles from 1933 to 1938. To introduce Johnny today is his longtime friend and fellow broadcaster. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Famer Bud Collins.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you all for being here. This is a day in which we all share something precious, our love of this game of tennis. So we're so glad to have you here. And no one, I think, loves it any more than Giovanni Clerici, who comes from Como, that beautiful city on the lake. Johnny and I are scribblers and babblers. We write and we telecast and we do some radio. Why? Well, if not, nobody would hear about the great champions we have here. So we feel that that is something worthwhile. Johnny and I have known each other for 40 years. He was singing the Italian national anthem. I was stunned. I didn't think he knew the words. He only knew a few of them. He's been working for La Repubblica, the top newspaper in Italy, for more than 30 years. He's telecasted on various European networks. He has written the definitive book on the history of tennis, 500 Years of Tennis, which has been translated in at least 8 or 9 languages. He has a feeling for the game, which shows in his writing. I don't read much Italian, but sometimes someone will point it out to me and say, look at that. And I'll say, how could he get that in the paper? And he says, well, I live in a free country, don't you? He is a little bit outrageous in his writing and his telecasting, but that's what gives him that flair, that pepper that his readers and his listeners enjoy. The mark of a good reporter is how many times you've been sued. Johnny's been sued a lot, but he's won every case, so he's still in the business. He has been a good enough player to have played Wimbledon and the Italian championships. He was nearly on the Italian Davis Cup team, so I consider him a Renaissance man of tennis. He's a poet, a novelist, and I think a songwriter, but he did win one year the Playwright of the Year award in Italy. So I'm very proud and privileged to introduce to you Giovanni Emilio Clerici.
Well, he didn't say to you that he's my public relation agent. Well, beside that, I wrote a few lines, because if not I get too emotional. I wrote a few lines of my speech. Non plus ultra gentes ave, veni ut premium recipiem. Telling that I saw some perplexity about the people who came here, because I planned to make a speech in Latin. So this perhaps would suit me when they sanctify me in the Vatican, but not today. And speaking about the mysterious region why I've been inducted, I told a friend of mine that don't induct me in the Hall of Fame in the States, and he said, how comes that only one of your book is translated in the States in English? And I said, well, perhaps because if all the others 15 were translated, I wouldn't get me there. So, what I can say more? I felt today that if I have to represent somebody in front of this incredible group of real champions and tennis players, is because perhaps I could represent the loser. Because there is no winner without losers. And the losers are not there, they're all winners. So, I say to myself, Clerici, I take you there because you are the greatest loser ever seen in the history. Yes. Because in between 2 Roland Garros and 2 Wimbledon, I never won a single match. And then I think it's a good reason for my award.
There is more, Johnny. We have for you a Hall of Fame jacket. Will you take that cheap rag off and put this on, please? To introduce Pat today as a gentleman who has been a constant source of love and encouragement throughout his life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pat's father, Jim Rafter.
Our anthem is a little more somber than that of the Italians, and I'm afraid this may be a little more somber too. I'm here to represent John Newcomb, and as such I'll read the words that he penned. It was actually it's John Newcomb and Tony Roach. It was our honour to be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1986. We were brought up in the 50s, an era that brought on 25 years of great Australian champions. He's never short of giving himself a rap, John. For whatever reasons, we were the last of that particular era, but a tradition had been established of Aussie tennis champions being tough warriors who never said die and played the game hard but fair. In our book, and in the opinion of other Aussie champions like Rosewall, Laver, Fraser, Cooper, Anderson, Emerson, Sedgman, Stolle, that's about it, I think, Pat Rafter fits the mould. All of us have been proud to have Pat representing our traditions and history in the world of tennis. When we took over captain coach role of the Australian Davis Cup team in '94, there were a number of young players we had to train into the rigours of Davis Cup competition and what it means to represent your country. Young men who have the potential to be champions can be made or broken under the pressure of Davis Cup play, whether it be the expectations of playing at home or sometimes hostile environments experienced in other countries, never in the States. From being 20 in the world in December '94, 2 years later after Pat's wrist surgery, he was 63 and seriously doubting if he could make it to the top. It had been a turbulent 2 years for Pat as he battled the expectations of the Australian public starved for another world tennis champion. In February '97, in a thrilling 5-set Davis Cup win over Cedric Pierline at Sydney's historic White City, Pat rediscovered that ball of fire down inside him that we call his warrior mentality. 8 months later, he was the US Open champion and on his way to becoming one of the world's best tennis players. It's one thing to become a champion tennis player. The real test, however, is how you conduct yourself when you reach the top. Pat won his first US Open. Well, probably we should have said, when Pat won his first US Open, his first words to us, even before the presentation, were, "I want to donate my prize money to the Starlight Foundation of Australia, a charity that grants wishes to chronically ill children." Could have given it to his old man. A Starlight Express room in the Brisbane Mater Hospital carries Pat's name today, and he has continued that work through the formation of his own charity, the Patrick Rafter Cherish the Children Foundation. These are, again, Newcomb Roach's words. "Pat, we are proud of you. We are proud of the way you have represented that great game of tennis, your country and your family. We are proud to have played a small part in your climb to the mountaintop, and we are proud to call you our friend." If I could just add a few words from Mum and Dad, something that's sure to embarrass Pat. Patrick, above all else, what endears you so much to us is the man that you are. The respect you give to all, great and small, the dignity and integrity which you played the game and how you now live your life. As a family, we all followed your progress and shared your highs and lows. And Patrick, as your mother so aptly puts it, thank you for taking us on such a wonderful journey, culminating in this great day today.
First of all, I have to, first of all, I thank my father. Very nice speech. Thanks, Dad. I'm going to apologise to people I'm going to have my back to. I would turn around, but it's not set up that way. In my career, there's a few milestones that I really wanted to achieve. It was to be the top 10 player, to be a number 1 player, to win a Grand Slam or 2. Would have loved to have had a Davis Cup and a Wimbledon as well, but some things came true and some of them didn't. And there's also a small part of me that wanted to be recognised for what I had achieved in tennis and be talked about in the tennis world. Tennis is a great game with a lot of great things going for it. We get to hold the future in our own hands. Through hard work and dedication, we can create our own success. But to be acknowledged by your peers in the hierarchy of the game of tennis is somewhat out of your control. It's one of the most exciting things to ever happen in my tennis career and also in my life. I'd like to say thank you very much for all those who voted for me, and it's a very special day for me. Thank you. There are many steps on the way to becoming a professional tennis player, and Newport was the stage for me back in 1993, where I beat the local wildcard entrant Lou Gloria here for my first ever ATP win. That gave me the confidence and belief that I belonged on tour. Unfortunately for me, I never went on to achieve any other great results here in Newport. But it's a place I love coming back to, and it's a great place to be here again. My love of tennis started when I was a little fella, growing up in the mining town of Mount Isa in far northwestern Queensland. I was part of a large family, and I used to always wanted to do what my older brothers and sisters were doing, so that was going down to the local tennis club. And I remember watching one of my older brothers play, and that's when I learnt to clap, when to clap and when not to clap from my mother. And I'd say, "Mum, can I clap that?" She said, "No, that's in the bottom of the net. You probably shouldn't clap that." But this led to a fascination with the game, which led to fun, which led to a challenge, which led to hard work with huge adrenaline rushes, which led to the ultimate, a dream come true. A dream come true feels like such a cliche to say, but it's very hard to describe it, especially when you try to inspire young children, or old kids for that matter. I don't actually remember ever dreaming about the game of tennis, but I thought about it every single day of my life. So be careful what you think out there. As every person who has lived their lives and achieved their goals, there are people around them that without their help, you'd have to wonder if you could have done it at all. Many people in my life have somehow contributed to my success, whether it was their undying support through good and bad times, or even those nasty ones who left you out in the cold. Those nasty ones actually can provide an amazing amount of power if harnessed in the wrong way, so I'd like to thank them. They gave me inspiration to prove them wrong. I'd like to thank those who also gave me the most precious gift of all, and that was love. To Mum and Dad, you are the reason I am the person I am today. And the backbone of what I achieved in the past. You gave me all the love and support at the right times, and criticism and direction when I needed it. To my 8 brothers and sisters, who probably sacrificed the most out of all of them. They had to give up their mother in a time probably when they needed them most for months and months on end, while she travelled around and helped me with my career. And on top of that, I had to put up my father's cooking. This is probably a favour I can never repay, but try to acknowledge them whenever I get the chance. I had many coaches help shape my game, from my miss-hit forehands over the back fence to my serve and volley game. My brother Jeff gave me perspective in a world that sometimes has very little. To John Newcomb and especially Tony Roach, they gave me direction and showed me the way. A bit like that foghorn we heard this morning at 5 a.m, trying to lead his boats into shore woke me up. My friends that have travelled from Australia, Bermuda and America, thanks very much for joining me in this celebration. My life is now of a family man who still loves, and my wife will say, lives for his sport. A new chapter has begun, which involves a lot of dirty nappies, a bit of golf, a lot of surfing, a bit of yoga, and plenty of quality time with the family. My love for my wife and my 2 children is the centre of my life, and will continue for the rest of my life. To Lara, thank you for putting up with me on tour and in life. You got to see the real happenings of the pressures and trappings of a sportsman, and now you get to see a retired sportsman, competitive nature with our children. Thank you for being my wife, a fantastic mother, and my loving and loyal friend. Thank you.
Pat, congratulations. It's an honor to give you this Hall of Fame jacket. To introduce Gabby today as a player whose astounding tennis career was punctuated by her 1988 Golden Grand Slam, when she won all 4 Grand Slams, as well as the gold medal at the Seoul Olympics. She is the only player, male or female, to win all 4 majors at least 4 times. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Famer Steffi Graf.
Well, this time I'm not crying to start off my speech, so I'm doing a little better here. But yeah, it is a deep, deep honor for me to be back here in Newport. 2 years ago, I had the joy of joining this special body of people that I respect so much. And now today, I've been asked to introduce someone very, very special to me. The memories that I treasure and the admiration that wells up in me now have been building for over 20 years. And now I'll try to put into words how deeply important Gabby has been to tennis and to me. Anyone who's looked across the net and seen Gabby's athleticism, her lively presence on the court, and the way she electrified the game, knows that her name belongs among the elites of tennis. Now the International Tennis Hall of Fame will enshrine forever the name of Gabriela Sabatini with a rich, lasting legacy for generations to come. Far into the future, people will now be reminded what we know so well today, that to be athletic, graceful, honest, and loyal can be all summed up in one name, Gabby. I watched over so many years on the tour how she earned a one-of-a-kind army of fans. She developed a one-of-a-kind style and possessed a one-of-a-kind ability to represent her beautiful country for the whole world to admire. From distant parts of the world, our two lives came together and challenged the deepest part of each other. Many of our greatest moments of our careers came about simply playing against each other or playing with each other. We learned to speak each other the universal language of competition. It wasn't easy. Long before we learned to speak our common language of English. From the very beginning, with our first match we were 12 years old. We found in each other not only a rivalry, but a deep bond, a bond of respect and friendship that I value to this day. Her willingness to pay the deepest price of commitment is a beautiful gift for everybody who celebrates tennis. I've watched as her life has resonated around the world. She has impacted the lives of so many children, especially in her home country, Argentina. And she continues to give of herself to impact people in need throughout the world. And today, as we recognize the great impact on tennis, I'm grateful to say the greatest impact you've made is on me. Thank you. Gabby.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Steffi, for the introduction. that was very nice, all your words. I value very much your presence here today. You have been a very important person in my career. The matches that we played were challenging physically and mentally, and very memorable. All of us know that you are one of the greatest athletes of the world, but I can say that in the many years that I have known you, it is your qualities as a person that I admire the most. Truly, you have made me a better player and a better person. I thank you for that. I would like to thank all the committee members of the Hall of Fame for this induction. It is a great honor for me to be here today and be part of tennis history. It is my first time here, and I can say that I've been enjoying every moment, and I thank you for making me feel very comfortable. Seeing the museum and all the legends and the players that are there, and now it's me who is going to be there. It's just something that I will treasure all my life. I want to congratulate Patrick and Gianni for their induction. It is a great honor to be at your presence today. I wanted to say these words today. My love for tennis began the moment I picked up the racket at the age of 6. It became the only thing I wanted to do. I was too young to think of the future or set any goals. I focused only on how much joy there was when I had a racket in my hand. The journey began here, but moved quickly when I started to play tournaments. I was a very introverted person. Wasn't easy for me to relate to others. Tennis has exposed me to so many things in such a positive way that perhaps I wouldn't have experienced if it wasn't through tennis. Today, I am convinced that tennis is not only a sport. It is giving you the opportunity to open your mind, to travel all over the world, to get to know people and relate to others, to have a commitment and responsibility, to grow and mature at an early age, to face and overcome obstacles, all of which I can apply in my everyday life. All of these things have made me the person that I am today. That's why I am so grateful to this sport. I would like to thank my family, my parents and my brother for their support. Today I can appreciate and I admire the way that you navigated my career. Thank you for that. I also want to thank my group work of people, my coaches, physical trainers, agents. Thank you for guiding me and riding with me throughout this journey. I also want to thank my friends for always being there for me. I recognize that even though this is an individual sport, it takes a group to succeed. And last, I want to thank the fans for their support and for giving me inspiration and the motivation to play a sport that I love so much. I believe that I have been a very fortunate person to have traveled on this road. Thank you very much.
Gabby, before I give you this jacket and certificate, your dad told me he doesn't understand English too well. Why don't you thank your parents in Spanish?
I hope I don't cry. Bueno, nada, les quiero agradecer a ustedes por todo el apoyo que me han dado durante toda mi carrera. Decirles que realmente aprecio hoy y admiro la forma en que han manejado mi carrera, porque sé que es algo que no es muy fácil de hacer y lo han hecho muy bien. Y bueno, entonces quiero agradecerles por todo lo que hicieron, por estar conmigo siempre. ¡Feliz cumpleaños!